Welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be a little bit of a different video. I know I've done lots of videos about Oxford and your assumptions surrounding my time at Oxford, but there are lots of sort of misconceptions about the university that I've noticed popping up in my comments over and over again, and I thought I could just sit and sort of debunk those myths by myself, but I thought it would be better to have sort of not an outsider perspective, but another perspective, or in this case two other perspectives, to help you understand what exactly Oxford is like and what's true and what's not. So I am joined today with Cam and Josh from the Average Bloke Show. Of course I will leave everything to do with the Average Bloke Show down in the description. We also filmed a video over there. But if you guys want to introduce yourselves quickly, that would be great.
So I'm Cam and he's Josh. I'm a graduate now from Oxford doing economics and management. I've done absolutely nothing since I finished, but Josh?
Yeah, and I'm Josh and I'm still studying engineering. I'm in my 4th year engineering at Oxford. We're both from Exeter College, Oxford. Slightly better than Lady Margaret Hall.
Definitely not true, but anyway, basically today I've picked 10 sort of myths or assumptions that are sort of very commonly held about Oxford University, and we're basically just gonna talk about them and tell you what the actual case of fact of the matter is. And obviously we might also have different opinions on some of these because we've had different experiences. So I'm just going to start with number 1 and we'll just go through all of them. So the first one is actually from my friend, and I think he was meaning it in a joking way, because he went, welfare is a myth at Oxford. So what do you guys think?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. There's definitely a variety of experiences on this. I think that everyone who is involved in welfare teams and stuff that I've interacted with are really really helpful and kind, obviously mean well. But it has to be said that infrastructure wise I don't think there's enough, really. Probably at a lot of universities, but whilst there's good things like having colleges and a small breakdown of welfare and student peer supporters and stuff, yeah, I think that there's definitely room for improvement, to be honest, on welfare.
Yeah, I was very lucky in that I never directly sort of got in contact with the higher up welfare, but from what I've heard, it's that side of things where it gets quite serious and you need the serious welfare. It's not perhaps the best organised at Oxford.
Yeah, I've heard exactly the same, because I will shout from the rooftops that I think that my college's welfare system is fantastic. I'm a peer supporter myself. Peer supporters are basically students that are trained to sort of lend a helping hand and a listening ear, and there are also welfare deans, junior deans, welfare weeks, welfare teas, if nurses, doctors. When I was really struggling, you guys know that I got help really quickly and I got the help that I needed. But as you guys were saying, I think A, it depends from college to college, and B, the welfare on the higher echelons of the university is not as good. I think that actually applies to a lot of things with the university. I think at college level things can be really good, but when it comes up to the higher levels of the uni, then they're not as responsive, and especially because Oxford is so stressful, that definitely needs sorting, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, 100%, yeah.
Cool. Okay, the next one makes me laugh because this was definitively the most common assumption, and it just makes me laugh every time, because that's what I thought as well, is that Oxford is full of Tories.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, it's the opposite to what's true.
Yeah, I think it's a weird one because on the one hand, there is a relatively big conservative presence at Oxford. We have this event called Port and Policy, where on every Sunday where all of the Tories kind of gather together and they drink port and they just debate very controversial things and just generally whatever. But there is also pretty much all of my friends are very left-wing, very open, very liberal. Yeah, I think there's all political spectrum is represented in Oxford, wouldn't you say? Like,
you definitely meet people with all sorts of backgrounds that have all sorts of opinions.
Yeah, and I mean, having, as controversial it is, having like the Oxford Union and obviously just massive debating societies and stuff, it's very political.
Yeah.
Like place, like obviously there's so many MPs and stuff that have come from Oxford, and it's not surprising when you consider the college system and like having presidents and different representatives. But yeah, I mean, yeah, most of my friends our friends are very liberal and left wing, the majority.
Yeah.
But equally so, there's as many, I'm sure, people that are more right of centre.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think that, the whole stereotype of full of Tories, I would definitely not say that. I would say maybe comparatively to other unis, there might be a slightly higher percentage. But
yeah, I agree.
I wouldn't say that it's like you walk in and it's just like Tory fest. Do you know what I mean?
Tory fest.
I don't know, but I think that's what people think it is. I think they just think it's just thousands of Boris Johnsons like walking about the place. Okay, the next one is another really, really common one, and it's, I always hear that you never have any free time and you have to spend 24/7 studying.
I'm a bit of an expert on having spare time. My degree was sort of known for having quite a lot of spare time in comparison. So on one hand, it does depend, I guess, on the degree you do, because there will be some subjects that you do a bit more work. But I think in general, if you want to find some spare time at Oxford, you will.
Yeah.
And like, there's so many things that you can be doing alongside studying that you'll never be bored. You can always be doing something or the other. And if you want to spend that time doing nothing, you can still do that as well.
Yeah. I would say because the terms are so short at Oxford, that the work, people always say that Oxford students think that they have so much work than everyone else. I would say it's not that we have more work, it's more that it's just compressed into like a smaller time frame. Yeah. So I would say that I definitely spend more time when I'm at uni studying, and you know the workload is really heavy. But I think it's, for me, it's always been like a work hard, play hard sort of situation, which has its merits and has its cons. But I would say, like, for me personally, I can spend like up until 10 p.m. writing an essay, or 11 p.m. and then I'll go out with my friends, and you don't have as much free time in the sense of like between your work and your leisure to sort of dilly-dally, if that makes sense. But your schedule's always jam-packed, but it's not 24/7 studying, I don't think, anyway, apart from maybe an exam season where you have to crack down a little bit, but you can still see friends and things.
I think it's also like when you first go, it's a lot more daunting trying to like find time to do things, but then you get used to it. So like in my second term, I found it a lot easier to just know what I have to do, get it done, so I have free time to do what I want with my mates.
I'm exactly the same.
Yeah, like I spent same, and I spent like almost the whole of first year even figuring out how much work I needed to do. Like I worked more in first year than I probably did second and third year.
So did I.
But I didn't have to. I didn't like have to. You realise in second and third year that you can still like find these societies or sports or whatever you want to do. But equally, there's people who want to spend all time studying. It's just that there's still a lot of people like us that
I think it's personal preference, and I was exactly the same in first year. I feel like I worked way more than I needed to, and I never got the balance between going out clubbing and a lot and working right, so I really run myself into the ground, whereas now I know exactly what to just listen to what my body's telling me, and to like not cut corners on your degree, but like you can kind of cut corners a little bit, you know, and you can still do equally as well. So definitely. The next one is everybody is super rich or related to somebody influential / famous.
For me, I was quite worried about this in a weird way going, because like I knew no one at Oxford and like didn't know anyone that had been there except for like one guy, and I thought that when I got there everyone would just know each other and stuff, and there is a bit of that. Like you do get the people that come from sort of private schools where they do know each other, but they're just as easy to talk to and you do make friends with them. And also there is a lot of people like me and like you guys as well that go there with a sort of idea and go there, and it's not always like that. Not everyone's dad is some guy that's like Bill Gates' mate and stuff like that.
I'd say, yeah, I agree totally. There are definitely a fair share of people whose parents own like giant hotel chains, or like one of my best friends is like literally like she's got like aristocratic blood or something, you know, and they live in like these massive houses in London and stuff, and like there are a fair share of like relatively wealthy people at Oxford, but most of those people, not all, are really, really lovely anyway, and really relatable, and really nice, and you know, but there are also equally people that just come from like relatively normal households. There's people from all ends of the spectrum in terms of wealth and income, and I just really don't think that defines who you make friends with or anything like that. Like I've got I just don't even think about how much my friends' average like household income is, like
because like I agree, and it's definitely something I was worried about before coming, is it's gonna be full of people who are coming from private schools, have lots of money, and this is totally normal to them, or like their parents and their parents all went to Oxford, but I was worried about them being there, I think, and not fitting in, obviously. But first of all, like obviously there's loads of people who are not like that, and also, as you've said, like those people are perfectly normal as well, and do just become your friends. And then if they're like kind enough and happy enough for you to go stay in their second home in like the Mediterranean, then like that's great, like go and have your best life,
literally. Oh, so true. Okay, cool. The next one is that you're expected to know Latin for every course.
I know no words in Latin at all.
What? I only know literally Caecilius est in horto, and I did Latin for 2 years at school, and I literally haven't got a clue.
No,
I did go to a language college though, like I went to a language school, which was the only reason we learned Latin, because my school specialised in languages, but most people don't learn Latin at school, and even if they did learn Latin, the only time that you come into Latin regularly is at formal dinner, where they say this like little thing in Latin at the start and the end because it's just tradition. I think at Oxford, went like back in the day, you know, back in like 1200, you know, most of the teaching was in Latin and stuff, but that was just how education was like across the globe. And I think that the reason that there's so many like traces of Latin in Oxford is because it's such an old university. It's just the traces of like, it's the same as subfusc is Latin, our sort of matriculation ceremonies in Latin, which is really weird. But like that, you don't need to know Latin to do your degree unless you're doing classics, right?
Yeah, and I think even classics, you don't necessarily, you can take Latin as a new subject
from scratch.
I think,
Yeah, I didn't know that until somebody corrected me on my video, but you can either, if you've done it at school, then great, but if not, I think you can go to this like course beforehand as well. I will admit I have had a couple of experiences as a linguist where some of the private school kids have been like, oh, well, how didn't you know that word? Like, it's just very similar to the Latin, and I've been like, like, because they learnt it like the whole way through school, and I literally learnt like the most basic Latin. So, but that's, you don't need to know Latin. No.
Yeah, I've heard the same thing. Obviously, there's no Latin in engineering at all. But I have heard of like occasionally it's like a slight access concern, obviously, because like people do grow up learning Latin, and that's fine, but when it's the idea, that they're baffled at the fact that you don't know Latin, but it's a rare thing, I think.
The next one is that the nightlife in Oxford is shit. I think
it's definitely better than Cambridge.
It's better than Cambridge for sure, but I would say that when I go to Leeds or Manchester, right, the nights out they are just better because they're big cities. But I would also say that a night out in Leeds or Manchester for me will exhaust me for like the whole weekend. And I think Oxford is very like sustainable clubbing, if that makes sense. As in, you go out a little bit earlier and you come back a little bit earlier, but it means that you're not, well, sometimes you are completely dead the next day, but you can, because obviously at Oxford everything's so compressed, you don't have time to have like a hungover day where you do nothing. And so I think that we start and end a little bit earlier, but I actually prefer that in a way sometimes, because it means I can be in bed by like 2:30 and have had like a full night out. But yeah, I don't know what you guys think.
I was really worried about the nightlife in Oxford, because obviously there's the myth that all you do in Oxford is study, and that's what everyone else still thinks, like my mates still ask me, like, was it just nothing Nightlife worthy? Like, was it rubbish compared to Coventry? I live in Coventry and it's bad here. And they asked me if it was rubbish compared to here.
Yeah, spoons. The price of alcohol is a lot. I'd like to go for a night out in Oxford, to be honest. Apart from spoons, but I think because Oxford's the second most expensive city. It's not actually that expensive to be a student in Oxford, though. I think in general, so it's top.
Yeah, and you've got like the college bar, which is
really cheap.
Yeah, that's the best thing. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna bundle the next two into one because I feel like they kind of fit together. Is that there's a really strong drinking culture at Oxford, / there are like secret drinking societies. So I would say there are definitely secret drinking societies. There's even one at LMH, which is quite a liberal, like, you know, ahead of the times college. And I see them at formal, like sneaking off and taking shots in the bathroom and stuff. And it's all just very like toxic masculinity vibes. But I would say in terms of the drinking culture, I wouldn't say we drink any more than other unis. I'd say there's lots of free wine that's available at various events. But I would say that the only thing I would say that differs for me personally is that I probably just drink, when I do drink, I probably drink a lot more, a lot quicker, because as I was saying, I'm usually in the library till like 11, and so then I'll, rather than preying from like 8 p.m. But I don't know if you guys would say the drinking culture is any different in Oxford.
Yeah, I don't think it's too different to any other university really. And in terms of like drinking societies, I'm not really aware of many, or if any really. I like, not in terms of like our friends who would be in them or anything. And I think that I think drinking wise, it's like we go out probably as much as most other unis, and therefore probably drinking about the same. Like, it's not like a big culture. And there's, in terms of pressure as well, like I don't think there's much of that pressure to drink as well.
Yeah, no, definitely not. I mean, you sort of get the best impression of the lack of forcing when you look at like the sports clubs and stuff. For me anyway, for me and Josh. So we have sort of drinks community with sports clubs, but it's like if you don't drink, then you don't drink. No one's going to force you to drink.
Yeah, that's our closest like experience to that sort of culture.
Exactly.
But even they are quite like chilled out and very open, and it's not like a secret drinking society. It's just to go for a few drinks.
There definitely are secret ones, but as you said, like most of them are like sports societies. But that's exactly the same as every other uni that have like cheer societies and sports socials. So no, I wouldn't say that our drinking culture is any different really to anywhere else. No. The next one made me laugh, that there's a Waitrose around every corner. I don't even think there's a Waitrose in Oxford.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no, I'm not aware.
I know of one, but it's like outside of Oxford really.
Yeah.
It's down, is it Botley Road?
So like not
the
even...
one that's like beyond the train station.
Oh, if it's past the train station, it's not in Oxford, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a long way out.
We have like
Tesco's.
We have a Tesco, we have a Sainsbury's, and we have an M&S in the city centre, right? 2 Sainsbury's.
Yeah.
A Tesco, an M&S.
Yeah. I think they're the main ones. Yeah.
3 Sainsbury's. 3 Sainsbury's. There's 3. One slightly smaller one, by where all the tourists get off the bus, like on the coaches, and then there's the one by Christchurch, which is a little bit bigger, and then there's the one in the shopping centre, right? So 3 Sainsbury's.
Oh, there's another one
there's
next.
4.
There's one on St Aldate's as well.
Okay, there's that one too. So there's 4 Sainsbury's.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's just going to keep going
There's 4
up
Sainsbury's.
There's a lot of
relatively okay sized Tesco, which you can get most things from. M&S, which is like, I mean, I don't think many students shop at M&S.
Fancy.
I do like sometimes, there's a couple of ready meals in there that I do really like. But, and then, and then there's an Aldi which you can cycle to, right, I think.
Yes.
But I never go. I usually shop at Tesco.
Same.
Or Sainsbury's if I'm feeling really fancy, but usually Tesco. But there is no Waitrose, so the last assumption is that you're not allowed a part-time job in Oxford.
I don't know too much about this, but I think it says somewhere that you should only have a job up to like 7 hours or something per week.
Oh, right.
But from my experience, I think you probably could get a job that's more than that, but you'd struggle to fit it in really. I don't know about you guys.
See, I was the same. I still thought that this assumption, like, I thought you can't.
I don't know if you were allowed. I'm not sure. I think maybe there's maybe like under certain circumstances, but I think as you said, like even if you could get a job, like there is no way that you would have to, it just wouldn't work. Even like 4 hours on a Saturday, like I don't even think, because mine's a bit of a sticky situation, because technically I have a job all through term, and when I got there, my tutors did actually say, like, you are technically not supposed to have a job. So it's always, they've always kind of just let me do it, I think, because technically I think my channel is kind of free promo for them, so.
Right, yeah.
And because it's so flexible as well, it's not really like like I'm not working shifts or anything.
Yeah.
But no, I think generally, you're allowed to have one in the holidays, so a lot of people will work all the way through the holidays, and then use the money for that to tide them over during, because again, terms are so short. Right? I think that's...
Yeah, I think because terms are so much shorter than most unis, you've obviously got longer in the holidays, so it's easier to get like a service job in the holidays, because you can be there for 6 weeks, like, at a time. Obviously in like 3 months in summer as well.
Yeah.
You can, some colleges let you work in the bar.
Yeah, that's true.
Which some people do.
And you can also help out at interviews as well, which is also paid. So there are paid opportunities to work in college too. But yeah, I think they're all very small jobs. They're like a couple of hours a week. But I think that very much like feeds into the fact that Oxford's just very like all or nothing, like all the time. You just have these 8 weeks of just complete intensity, and then 6 weeks or 7 of just complete nothingness. So yeah,
it's very weird.
That's a lovely thing to end it on. But yeah, thank you guys so much for coming on my channel, and I hope that you've enjoyed giving your opinions on all of these different things.
Definitely. Thanks for having us.
Cheers for having us.
Yeah, and as I said, I'll put all of their details in the description, so be sure to go and subscribe to them and watch the video that we filmed on their channel. And yeah, if you have any more assumptions about Oxford, then do put them in the comments, and I'll try and do a bit more myth busting down there. But other than that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you very soon with another video. Bye guys!